Okay, when we talk about precedence relationships within activities, we can say that they hold dependencies to adjacent ones. And when we say dependencies, it just means relationships. So if I picked a relative activity, such as activity B, what comes before it is referred to as a predecessor. What comes after it is referred to as a successor. Okay? When we talk about, in the subsequent steps, we're going to be learning about and at least applying this in activities, or rather I should say this when we're doing the performances of network diagram analysis, we're going to be applying some relationships. The most common sequence or relationship or precedence is when one activity finishes, the other one starts. So the finish of one activity triggers the start of the subsequent activity. Okay, and then we have three other types. We have finish. Both activities that are linked finish at the same time, but they don't necessarily have to start at the same time. They start at the same time, but they don't have to finish at the same time if they have different durations. And then the most counterintuitive of the bunch, generally avoided in project logic sequencing, is the start of the successor. The start of the successor, what comes after, triggers the finish of the predecessor. And I would say that a good example that I can illustrate, but it's not construction related, if we ever look at the completion of like security guard shifts, the security guard that's coming after, once they start, it can relieve the duty of the preceding one. It's very unlikely that you'll see this, but we should know it. Okay. The other thing to note is that when we talk about activity on node and activity on arrow, activity on node, just want to check one thing. Activity on node will present, or activity on arrow will have finish starts. Finish starts. Activity on arrows will have only finish starts. Activity on node can employ all four types. Sorry if I misspoke that. So activity on node can present all four types, and then activity on arrow only presents finish start, and it can employ something called the dummy. We're actually going to get into that on the next slide. Okay, so Aaron is making, illustrating this. Sometimes it can come back to the way that we just share this example or highlight this example. But if you have large sequences of work, you can start it in one place and start something else in another place on the project site. That they're independent because you have different crews. They're not dependent on the same resources.